if you would please, walk me through the events that led to you being unhoused.
So the course of events that took me outside lasted about a year. So it was a series of events that started in 2015 and then ended me up street-bound in 2016. Original circumstance, I had a divorce. Ended up shortly after getting a DUI, which I never tended to the legal obligations of. Through that divorce, my landlord charged me outright for my husband's security deposit, damages done to the house by that point, and so I couldn't catch up financially in order to pay rent. And right about when rent was due, I ended up having to have emergency removal of my gallbladder, and that took 6 weeks recovery time, so I wasn't able to work, and it was impossible at that point to catch back up financially. My first day out, there was people that I had been around a lot and considered friend. One of the guys actually stayed in my house. They jumped me and stole absolutely every bit of my hygiene, my bedroll, whatever you want to call it, my sleeping gear, and all of my food at the time, and all my valuables. And that was the first day out. So that was a hard learned lesson. And while I had a lot of resentment for that particular situation, over a course of time, I learned that kind of action was not necessarily personal. It's something that they also, in the first 6 months, I did not know how to make it outside, but I had a lot of friends who I'd worked with long ago before I started using drugs. I volunteered at the warming center, and so I had a really good connection already with a lot of people who did live outside, thank God. And they showed me the ropes. I wasn't indoors, like I did not sleep indoors probably for the first year or so. I did sleep indoors, but it was like of this abandoned house and all the walls were open, but it was a very good, nice place to be. A lot of people used it for drug use though, like it doped in, but there was an upper level where you could kind of like lock some people out, but there was still a back entrance where people could come and go. So when you're living every day outside for a long period of time, there are certain things that you're very well aware are going to happen to you. Things like rapes or physical assaults, robbery on a daily basis. But knowing that those things are going to happen to you and knowing that you might not be able to control it. For me personally, escalated my methamphetamine use, to be specific. There were a few situations where it was necessary for me to make sure that I did not fall asleep, and one time in particular was 17 days in a row. So, in this particular instance, this man had been sentenced to 44 years in Wisconsin. He was on the run. It was on the news, like KATU and other things. I was not. I didn't have any sort of social media, so obviously I wouldn't know that. But he stalked me off and on for a few days. He ended up moving his camp directly above mine so that he could be in my general area at all times. And the 17 days that he was there, he would pop up at any location that I might be at. Like I might be downtown, he might find me at a different set of woods that I thought should be safe, but they were not. Eventually, after 17 days of him being directly on top of me, the cops came in and took him into custody. He was grand-marshaled out back to Wisconsin to serve his time. But he was sentenced 44 years. Did I say why? In Wisconsin, he was notoriously known for also stalking women who were homeless, going into their camps and raping them and then burning them. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time, but I did know that there was something severely wrong with the situation.
In my professional experience, especially in the role that I was in as recovery ally, the social services that we provided to the unhoused community, or really any person, it was connection to any type of resources that they needed on their terms, specifically catered to their needs. So not everybody needs the same thing. Not everybody's path to housed or path to recovery or path to mental health support is all the same. There are things that people need, which are just basic needs that kind of help them survive day to day, to where they can fulfill the obligations of attending appointments or showing up for this or showing up for that. So what we do is we just have a discussion on, what it is that you would need, what would immediately help improve your quality of life right now, what can I help with, and then we kind of triage those items to, obviously, like, what's going to help with immediate survival, what's going to help you live longer. Do you need food? Do you need shelter? Is a shelter type service not an option for you right now due to whatever the barrier be at that moment, whether it be active substance use or mental health instability, to where being in a large room or house full of people isn't possible. Do you need a tent? Do you need a sleeping bag? Do you need socks? Do you need gloves? Would you like a hat? Do you need to know where the food bank truck is and what day and what time? Do you just want to sit down and talk about the experience you had last night because it's really weighing on you? What do you need? What do you need to feel heard and seen and validated right now is really what our social services do for folks in our community who are looking for a little bit of support.
If I could address the community as a whole, I would say that dignifying stigmas without research is very dangerous and reckless, because it puts people in harm's way or gives people the idea that they deserve every bit of life that they experience, whether it's good or bad, and they seem to justify the bad because those stigmas are more spoken about than the actual experience itself.
What's life like now?
Life is surreal right now, to be quite honest. It's everything that I could have hoped that it would be, everything that I wanted it to be, and then so much better than that. Yeah.
Why?
It's a miracle, I would say. Why?
Yeah.
The impossible things that you've already come to terms with. As a houseless person, like housing, honestly, housing seems so easy to obtain, but it was not. And so housing first, for a lot of people who have walked the walk, it's probably the only means to sustaining long-term recovery from homelessness, not drug substance use necessarily, but recovery from homelessness itself. It's kind of showed me that the impossible is possible if it's meant security, stability, above and beyond that, the ability to look forward in life and not just live in unfortunate circumstance. And now I can hope, I can dream, and believe that those hope and dreams might actually manifest as truth or reality.